First contact, final warning. For 3 centuries, humanity had been a footnote in galactic politics. The Meridian Alliance, a confederation of 7 advanced species, had welcomed Earth into the interstellar community with patronizing smiles and condescending technology exchanges. Humans were the galactic equivalent of country cousins, quaint, somewhat amusing, and utterly inconsequential. The Alliance's diplomatic corps described humans as enthusiastic but underdeveloped, their technology as charmingly obsolete, and their military capabilities as sufficient for local defense at best. This assessment appeared in every official report, every intelligence briefing, and every strategic analysis for nearly 300 years. It was perhaps the most catastrophic intelligence failure in galactic history. On the remote outpost of New Horizon, Dr. Elena Vasquez watched through reinforced observation windows as Meridian warships systematically reduced the research colony to ash. 15,000 colonists, scientists, families, children, all because humanity had refused to surrender mining rights to the asteroid belt in the TAS-CD system. This is a regrettable necessity. The Meridian commander had announced over all frequencies before the bombardment began. The Meridian Alliance cannot allow resource disputes to impede galactic progress. Your species will adapt, as all species must. Elena's final transmission reached Earth 18 hours later. The United Nations Security Council convened within minutes. There was no debate, no lengthy discussion of options. There was only a single unanimous vote and a simple command transmitted to a facility buried beneath the lunar surface. Deploy the Thunderchild. Admiral James Chen stood on the bridge of the UNSS Thunderchild, watching stars streak by as the massive vessel traveled through fold space. Unlike the sleek, organic curves of Meridian ships, designed to showcase their aesthetic superiority as much as their technological advancement, the Thunderchild was all hard angles and armored plates, a brutal declaration of purpose. ETA to Meridian Prime. Chen asked, his voice calm despite the weight of what was to come. 4 minutes, Admiral, his XO replied. Their defense grid is active, but hasn't locked onto us. I don't think they can see us yet. Chen nodded. They're not looking for us. Why would they be? We're just humans. For 3 centuries, humanity had presented a carefully constructed facade to the galaxy, while publicly struggling with primitive fusion drives and rudimentary shield technology. Earth's hidden research facilities had been designing weapons that would make the Meridian Alliance's most advanced warships look like children's toys. The Thunderchild wasn't just a ship, it was a statement written in steel and fire. Dropping out of fold space in 3, 2, 1. The helmsman's fingers danced across her console. Reality tore open, and the Thunderchild emerged directly above Meridian Prime, the gleaming heart of the Alliance. The planet below was a jewel of technology, its surface dotted with sprawling arcologies and orbital tethers, its atmosphere crowded with transport ships and pleasure craft. For exactly 17 seconds, nothing happened. The Meridians simply stared upward, their sensors finally registering the massive human vessel that had appeared, impossibly, within their innermost defense perimeter. Then panic erupted. We're being hailed. Admiral. Communications reported. Multiple channels. They're demanding identification and immediate withdrawal. Chen straightened his uniform jacket. On screen, the main view screen flickered to life, displaying the scaled, aristocratic features of High Commander Teros, the military leader of the Meridian Alliance. His purple eyes widened at the sight of a human in command of the mysterious vessel. What is the meaning of this intrusion? Teros demanded, mandibles clicking in agitation. Your presence here violates 17 separate articles of the Interspecies Accords. Withdraw immediately or... 18 hours ago, Chen interrupted, his voice level. Your forces destroyed the human colony at New Horizon. 15,000 civilians. Dead, on your orders. Teros's posture shifted subtly, not quite dismissive, but unconcerned. An unfortunate necessity. The colony was illegally established in a resource sector claimed by the Alliance. Appropriate warnings were issued. Your government was given ample opportunity to evacuate. I understand, Chen said, nodding. Force was necessary. Message received. Something in Chen's tone made Taros hesitate. If your government wishes to discuss reparations or new settlement opportunities, there are diplomatic channels. Weapons officer, Chen said, still looking directly at Taros. Target the Meridian Third Fleet stationed at the Lagrange point. Target acquired, sir, came the immediate response. Taros laughed, a chittering sound of genuine amusement. Human, your single vessel cannot possibly threaten an entire fleet. Our shields. Fire. The Thunderchild didn't shudder. There was no recoil, no dramatic light show from its weapons arrays. There was only a brief distortion in the space surrounding the ship, a ripple like heat rising from summer pavement. 273 Meridian warships simply collapsed. Their hulls compressed as though crushed by an invisible fist, shields and armor alike crumpling inward before the wrecks erupted into synchronized balls of plasma. The silence on the bridge stretched for an eternity. What? Taros finally whispered, his scales pale with shock. What have you done? Gravitic compression, Chen explained conversationally. We discovered it about 200 years ago, but we thought it might be impolite to mention it. You know how it is with primitive species. We might misunderstand proper galactic etiquette. Taros's jaw worked soundlessly. Next target, Chen continued, the planetary defense grid. Specifically, the command nexus in the capital city. Wait, Taros shrieked. This is madness. You cannot. Actually, Chen interrupted. We can. That's rather the point of this demonstration. On the view screen, Taros was frantically consulting with officials off-camera, his composure completely shattered. When he returned his attention to Chen, his voice had risen nearly an octave. The Alliance formally requests an immediate cessation of hostilities. We acknowledge a grave diplomatic error has occurred and propose emergency consultations at the highest level. Chen studied the alien commander for a long moment. Throughout the bridge, the Thunderchild's crew worked in silent efficiency, weapon systems primed for the next target. There will be no negotiations, Chen finally said. There will be only understanding. Humanity has tolerated the Alliance's arrogance because it served our purposes. That tolerance has ended. What do you want? Taros whispered. An acknowledgement of reality, Chen replied. The reality is this. Humanity has weapons that can reduce your worlds to ash, ships that can bypass your most sophisticated defenses, and the will to use both if provoked. The Meridian Alliance will immediately withdraw from all human claim systems. You will pay reparations for New Horizon. And you will understand that the next time you move against humanity, there will be no warnings, no demonstrations, and no mercy. Chen leaned forward slightly. Do you understand reality now, High Commander? Taros's scales shimmered with stress-induced color changes. Yes, he managed. The Alliance understands. Excellent, Chen said, nodding once. We'll transmit the details of our expectations within the hour. I suggest you prepare your government to meet them. The transmission ended, leaving the view screen filled with the image of Meridian Prime and its suddenly vulnerable civilization. Send word to Earth, Chen ordered. Phase 1 complete. The message has been delivered. Throughout the galaxy, news of what happened above Meridian Prime spread like wildfire. Species that had dismissed humanity as insignificant suddenly found themselves reviewing centuries of intelligence reports, searching desperately for what they had missed. Trade agreements were hastily revised. Military strategies were frantically recalculated, and in the darkness between stars, other human ships emerged from hiding, their true capabilities finally revealed to a galaxy that had gravely, perhaps fatally, underestimated them. The weight of stars. The Galactic Council chamber had never been this crowded. Representatives from 37 spacefaring civilizations packed the tiered seating, their voices creating a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and rumbles. No translator could keep up with the overlapping conversations, but the sentiment was universal. Fear. In the center of the chamber, a holographic display showed the destruction of the Meridian Third Fleet, playing on a continuous loop. 273 warships, gone in an instant. President Shell of the Volare Conclave, whose crystalline body structure caught and refracted the light from the hologram, raised her limbs for silence. As the Council's current chair, she had called this emergency session. "The situation is unprecedented," she began, her voice translated into the Council's common language. "In a single act, humanity has demonstrated military capabilities far beyond anything in our collective records. They deceived us all," shouted the Meridian representative, his scales still showing stress patterns. "For centuries." "Did they?" countered the Tellurian ambassador, whose species had always maintained cordial relations with humanity. "Or did we deceive ourselves, comfortable in our assumptions of superiority?" The chamber erupted again until President Shell signaled for quiet. "The human ambassador will address the Council shortly," she announced. "Before that moment, we must decide how to respond as a unified body." "Surrender," suggested the Kravic delegate bluntly, his armored exoskeleton clattering as he shifted. "If they can destroy a fleet without effort, what chance do any of us have?" "Alliance," insisted the representative from Eta Prime. "We must form a mutual defense pact immediately. Together, our combined fleets might be destroyed together instead of separately." The Tellurian ambassador shook his head. "The humans could have attacked any of us at any time over the past 2 centuries. They didn't. They only struck after the Meridians destroyed their colony." The debate continued unresolved as Ambassador Sarah Okonkwo of Earth was announced. The chamber fell silent as she entered, a small, unimposing figure causing such galactic concern. She wore a simple blue diplomatic uniform with Earth's planetary insignia, her gray-streaked hair pulled back in a neat bun. "Distinguished representatives," she began, her voice steady, "I come before you not to threaten, but to clarify. For too long, humanity has been dismissed as inconsequential in galactic affairs. Recent events have corrected this misperception." She gestured, and the hologram changed to show the UNSS Thunderchild in orbit around Meridian Prime. The destruction of the Meridian fleet was regrettable but necessary. When diplomacy fails, when 15,000 innocent lives are deemed expendable for resource acquisition, other means of communication become essential. The Meridian representative rose to object, but President Shell silenced him with a gesture. "Humanity does not seek dominion," Okonkwo continued. "We seek respect. We seek fairness. We seek to be treated as equals in this galactic community. Nothing more, nothing less. Equals." The Meridian representative finally burst out. "You've hidden planet-killing weapons for centuries. You've engaged in the greatest deception in galactic history." Ambassador Okonkwo turned to face him directly. "Did we? When the Meridian Alliance first contacted Earth, your assessment teams declared our technology primitive and our military negligible. Rather than correct your misconception, we allowed it to persist. We never lied. You simply never asked the right questions." She turned back to address the full council. "Humanity has been watching and learning. We've observed how the powerful species of this galaxy treat the less advanced. We've noted which civilizations engage in fair trade and which exploit. We've documented every broken treaty, every seized colony, every regrettable necessity that cost innocent lives." The chamber was absolutely silent now. "The Thunderchild is not unique," Okonkwo stated, causing a ripple of dismay through the assembled representatives. "It is merely the first to reveal its true capabilities. There are others, positioned throughout human space, not for conquest, for protection." President Shell's crystalline form vibrated slightly, a sign of distress in her species. "What does Earth want from this council, Ambassador?" "Recognition," Okonkwo replied simply. "Humanity is hereby claiming a seat on the High Council, with full voting rights on all matters of galactic governance. The chamber exploded in protests. The High Council had been restricted to the 7 founding species for millennia. No new member had ever been added. President Shao again called for order. Such a demand is unprecedented. So is the destruction of a battle fleet with a single weapon system. Okonkwo countered. The galaxy has changed. The Council must change with it. Before Shell could respond, alarms blared throughout the chamber. The holographic display shifted to show a massive distortion forming at the edge of the system. "Unknown vessels emerging," announced the security chief. "Configuration matches no known species." The hologram focused on strange, asymmetrical ships emerging from the distortion. Dozens, then hundreds of them. Their hulls seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, creating an unsettling visual effect. "This is convenient timing, Ambassador," the Meridian representative accused. "Are these more of your hidden forces, revealing themselves to intimidate us further?" Okonkwo stared at the display, her expression grim. "No, those are not human ships." As if to confirm her words, the lead vessel of the unknown fleet fired on an outlying Volari outpost, obliterating it instantly. "The council chamber is being hailed," announced the communications officer. The hologram shifted again to show a being unlike any the council had encountered, a mass of writhing tentacles surrounding a central eye structure that pulsed with internal light. Sentience of this sector, the being's translated voice scraped across their minds. "Your resources are now claimed by the Void Collective. Resistance will result in termination. Submission will result in processing. You have 1 planetary rotation to decide." The transmission ended, leaving the council in stunned silence. "They're scanning the system," reported the security chief. "Weapons signatures indicate technology far beyond our defensive capabilities." President Shell turned to the human ambassador. "Earth's advanced weapons. Could they?" Okonkwo was already communicating through her neural link. "The Thunderchild is 8 hours away at maximum speed. We have other vessels closer, but none with comparable firepower. So we are defenseless," the Meridian representative said bitterly. "Not defenseless," Okonkwo corrected. "Just outgunned. There's a difference." She faced President Shell. "Earth requests emergency defensive coordination with all Council forces. We need to buy time until our heavy weapons can arrive." The implications were clear. Humanity was offering to defend the very Council that had dismissed them for centuries. Not for conquest, but for protection. President Shell didn't hesitate. "Granted. All Council forces will coordinate through human command." Over the next 7 hours, the combined fleets of the Council races fought a desperate holding action against the Void Collective. Ships centuries behind human technology and firepower threw themselves against the invaders, buying time with their crews' lives. The Meridians, despite their recent humiliation, committed their remaining fleets without hesitation. The Volari deployed their crystalline defensive arrays, species that had been bitter rivals just days before fought side by side. And through it all, humanity coordinated, strategized, and revealed just enough of their advanced technology to keep the Void Collective at bay. But not enough to win without the Thunderchild. When Admiral Chen's vessel finally dropped out of fold space, the combined Council fleet was down to 30% strength. Without a word, without ultimatums or declarations, the Thunderchild opened fire. The gravitic compression weapon that had destroyed the Meridian fleet seemed to have little effect on the Void ships, their strange hulls somehow absorbing the distortion. Chen didn't hesitate. The Thunderchild unleashed its full arsenal: antimatter cascades, dimensional shear projectors, and finally, the Singularity Lance, a weapon that temporarily created a microscopic black hole within each target. The Void Collective's advance faltered, then broke. Their remaining ships retreated in disarray, vanishing back through the spatial distortion from which they had emerged. In the aftermath, as rescue operations commenced and damage reports flooded in, the Galactic Council reconvened. This time, there was no debate about humanity's place. The High Council recognizes Earth as its 8th member. President Shell announced formally. Furthermore, we acknowledge the need for a comprehensive review of our defensive capabilities and interspecies protocols. Ambassador Okonkwo accepted with a formal vow. Earth stands ready to share appropriate technologies with our allies. Not all of them. Some knowledge remains too dangerous for widespread distribution, but enough to ensure all council races can defend themselves effectively. The Meridian representative approached her after the session. "We misjudged your kind," he admitted. "For centuries, we saw your restraint as weakness." "A common mistake," Okonkwo replied. "Strength isn't measured by what you can destroy, but by what you choose to protect." As news spread throughout the galaxy of humanity's actions, first their destruction of the Meridian fleet, then their defense of the Council against the Void Collective, a new understanding emerged. Humans weren't just another species to be patronized or exploited. They were guardians who had watched from the shadows, intervening only when necessary. They had the power to destroy worlds but used it to save them instead. On board the Thunderchild, Admiral Chen received updated orders from Earth Command. The ship would remain in Council space as humanity's first official defensive contribution to the Alliance. "Do you think they understand us now?" Izexo asked, watching distant repair vessels tending to damaged Council ships. Chen considered the question. "They're beginning to. Fear got their attention, but what we did afterward, that's what matters. We could have conquered. Instead, we protected. And if the Void Collective returns..." Chen's expression hardened. "Then they'll learn what happens when humanity fights at full capacity." Throughout the galaxy, species that had once dismissed Earth rewrote their assessments. Humanity wasn't just technologically superior. They were different in philosophy. They had watched, waited, and learned before revealing themselves. They had the power to rule but chose partnership instead. The galaxy had greatly underestimated humanity. It was a mistake no species would make again.